And welcome back to another Juneau Community Corner with EFA and Nano Brooks. Hanging out here, taking your calls live. If you want to join us on the show, 723-2024, 907-723-2024. And we're also taking your emails, Juneau Community Corner at gmail.com. All right, gentlemen.
Well,
how's things?
Welcome.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been another week. I barely remember last week's episode. It went by so fast.
I think when the sun comes out, everything just starts going by a little quicker and start losing track of the days here.
Yeah, definitely. Everything's speeding up now that the sun came out a little bit.
So you rolled in here. Spring. You rolled in here with a giant box full of comic books here, and one of the reasons was there's a new shop over there at the Mendenhall Mall.
Yep.
That you were talking about. Talk to me a little bit about that, man.
Coops Collectibles, out there at the Mendenhall Mall. It's this tiny little pocket store, like when you walk into where Got Shocks used to be. I can't remember what else was there before or after that, but. When you walk into that little area, it's a little corner shop that's in there. It's real nice. They got all kinds of cool stuff in there. But I walked in there back in December and found some awesome Superman comics from when I was a kid. And then I found this Whatnot app, and I've been buying a bunch of comics off of there, real cheap for in auctions and stuff like that. I won $100 stack of comics in a giveaway. I got super lucky winning that. It was my first giveaway that I won. But yeah.
And dude, you brought in a Last Ronin sign. You've got a whole bunch of them in the box here. I was just like, I was kind of pumped about that because I was like, yeah, man, this is our childhood right here.
There's actually one in particular that I brought that I want to show you right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Bring it up.
Hold on. I got to find it. It's right here.
As he's flipping through and everything. Just want to remind everybody that if you're joining us here live on YouTube, that this is our inaugural episode on YouTube there. So finally actually went through after we got the 24-hour stop and wait thing for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, the week-long 24-hour wait.
Yeah. So we're finally there live and everything. So everybody get on over here, like the stream, share it around, and let your friends know and everything. And he's still flipping through the comics.
I don't know.
Did you bring it in?
I brought it. I know it's in here. I just have to find it.
It's like me looking for a tool in my work van.
It's hold on, it's right here. I got it. Hold on. I just want to show you. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
And Coops Collectible is a really sweet little shop. He has like all sorts of graded and new stuff too. But I've never seen so much graded stuff in one area, which is really cool.
This is the life of Pope John Paul II, #1 from Marvel Comics. Look at that.
Check that out.
Let's see.
That's a piece of history right there, friends.
It is the life story from his birth to his assassination attempt. And the dude I bought this from was like, oh, yeah, I was going to send it out to get it graded because somebody's out there. They've got a 9.8 graded version of this comic, and it goes for like $500.
That's not bad at all.
That's not going to be quite a 9.8, I don't think, but I think I still want to do it just to see what it comes back as.
That is freaking fantastic right there.
Yeah, apparently they're kind of low-key, like really sought after. But
and the fact that it's just about his life is kind of like disappointing to me because I really honestly thought we would have got some superhero stuff from Pope John Paul II in that one. So.
Well, I mean, maybe he does have some kind of superpower that we can't discuss on this show. But you could join us Saturday for the discussion on that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Divine Interventage, move 1.
Right.
All right. So
let's see.
What shall we talk about tonight?
Well, we got a gang of stuff to talk about tonight. And first of all, we're going to talk about parking downtown. I'm I'm sure anybody out there who's ever tried to park downtown knows how that's been. Complete pain in the ass, right? That little coin op thing that they've got. The parking meters were introduced and months later were removed. And you remember those parking meters?
Yeah, I remember.
No, I don't.
All of that nonsense now is going to be replaced with a simple online app. The app is called Park Smarter. It's free and it lets you pay by card. In May, City Harbors will be using that app. The cash boxes are going to be going away and will be replaced with a new electronic system that will allow you to pay by card. But if you're a staunch traditionalist, it will also let you pay by coin. The city is also busy updating the permitting system. As of now, residents have to go to City Hall to purchase a physical parking permit, but soon you will be able to buy your permit online like a real 21st century human. I know it takes us a while here in Alaska to get caught up with the lower 48, so this has got to be absolutely exciting for all of you. You won't even need the placard anymore either. The cameras just scan your license plate and let you in or out. And those little JPD trikes that roll around handing out little parking tickets, well, they'll be able to run your plate as well with the new system. Juneau Parks and Rec Director George Schaff is pretty excited about the change, saying those boxes required somebody to go and check them every few hours during the day, and they were prone to vandalism. So now we will be able to keep credit cards, and people will be able to extend their parking sessions from anywhere using their phone. They'll be able to get receipts, and the app will actually notify you and let you know if your parking is about to expire. So it sounds super convenient.
Yeah.
Another app to store your credit card information into. And
I saw some discussion about that online from the either KTO's post or the city's post, and the specific software that they chose to use, someone was saying, has just some of the worst possible reviews. Out of thousands of reviews, has like 3 stars on the on the operation of the actual system. So I'm sure there's like hundreds of these types of programs out for things similar to this, and I'm just curious about how they chose the specific one, and if it is actually as bad as this one person was saying that it was. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And also, as far as the ease of everything, it's like, they're, the staunch traditionalists. Not, not everyone's going to have a phone. Not everyone's going to have internet access and stuff. So it's good that they're still given the option to have it be by cash, but those people are still going to be at the mercy of how it's always been. And,
right.
Just have to keep a watch.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, the Native Youth Olympics are coming up. Roll element B5.
Our community is well knit together. Through ups and downs, we're all here for each other, even though we have our differences,
When I'm sitting on my couch, I practice picturing the ball and the excitement I feel, and then I practice calming my nerves down, so then when I'm out on the floor, I could actually do that.
go straight up, go straight up, go straight up. It's just what I've been told throughout my years of training this event. Once I get under the ball, it's usually just muscle memory that takes over.
It's like challenging myself and like bettering myself every day.
I like the competition and how my team can get together and we all have the spirit to cheer each other on.
I'm going to pause this right now because, I'm looking at this one and that was on the hands there. But normally the seal hop is done on your knuckles. Fist down to the ground, hopping as you go along there. So I don't know. Still extremely difficult because I remember us having to do this in our gym classes back in high school, as part of our, physical education classes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What were your guys' favorite event to do?
Oh, I love the seal hop, but I forget the name of the other one, where you hook your wrist around the pole and you have two other partners who are hauling you through while you're holding on.
All of these are really, really tough, and I think the seal hop is probably the one that's probably not as tough, and that was my favorite one to do. But yeah, like the ear pull one.
The ear pull one that was gnarly. They didn't let us do that because you hurt yourself as kids. But I really liked the one leg cross high kick, like the one where you have it over your lap and have to pull yourself up. And that was my favorite one to do. I don't think I was ever very good at it, but I enjoyed the event a lot.
Yeah.
Greg Nye down in the comments over here at YouTube. What's up, Greg?
NYO, you're only competing against yourself.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Very impressive.
That's
yes. And the exciting thing about this is now the lower 48 is going to get introduced to this very fine sport.
Yeah, that video was created by the Cook Inlet Tribal Council for Native Youth Olympics from last year. The Native Youth Olympics will be held April 25th and through the 27th at the UAS Alaska Airlines Center. And our very own Juneau-led team will be representing the capital city for the 7th time. We've also got some big news this week that will be bringing the Arctic Games south to the lower 48. The North American Indigenous Games have approved Arctic sports for its 2027 games in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Rhonda McBride wrote an article on KNBA Public Media Anchorage about the announcement, and she had a chance to talk with Kyle Worrell, the head coach from our hometown Juneau NYO program, and he talked about how he took a team of 6 athletes on a tour of New Mexico and Kansas to promote Arctic sports. The team was in Lawrence, Kansas on Friday at the Haskell Indian Nations University. They demonstrated 7 games, including the 1 foot and 2 foot high kick, the Alaskan high kick, scissor broad jump, seal hop, and the Inuit and Dane stick pulls. Worrell says that the students were very interested in the stories behind the games and their connection to Arctic survival. Every school and community we've gone to, they've been very engaged. I think this sport really resonates with the Indigenous people because it's an Indigenous sport and it's about community. And I think all tribes know that community is really important. The Juneau NYO team also traveled to New Mexico to visit the Santa Clara Pueblo Tribal School and the Institute of American Indian Art. Next month is the 2024 Traditional Games here in Juneau, April 1st and 2nd at Thunder Mountain High School, featuring 10 events over 2 days. So if you want to check out this awesome sport and get a look at the athletes of the future, that is going to be your chance.
Yeah, get a little flavor for what they're about. That sounds pretty cool, actually, to tell you the truth. So get on out there and support these guys because, I think that the Native Youth Olympics and these events, they need to go a little bit more global, in my opinion. Go national,
absolutely.
get global, get more people involved.
And that's one of the things that, we're fortunate enough to have here in the community. They introduced all these to us and early grade school and stuff, and extremely enjoyable and great community builder and class builders for anyone. So it's they should be getting these, make it part of the federal physical curriculum, It's like they've been lacking on that for a while.
Yeah. These games are so tough. I said before,
but they're tough and
no
fun.
Joke. Right.
It's hard. It's it's difficult to find very physically taxing events that are just so enjoyable to where you will just do them until you drop.
Yeah, like that wrist carries. Oh, jeez. No, that's too much.
Folks, if you want to get a hold of us, we are taking live phone calls. If you want to call in, it's 723-2024. 907-723-2024 is the number. Juneau Community Corner at gmail.com if you want to drop us any kind of questions, or if you want to talk about what's going on here tonight and what we're talking about, or maybe you just have a business that needs to get the word out. We'll do that too as well. It's kind of like a free advertising thing. Go ahead and drop us a line. You could contact us either on Facebook via the messenger, or you can get a hold of us through the Gmail there as well. And of course you could call. So 907-723-2024. April showers, spa specials going down at Glacier Salt Cave and Spa. Couples combos, massages, $60.90. Go $250 to $325 for that. Couples are get little mud wraps, do a 2-hour spa day for about $400 there, or you could do the mud wraps just as a couples there for $200. So get a hold of them over at Glacier Salt Cave and Spa and make a reservation. 907-500-5545. That's 500-5545. Okay, that's all I got.
That sounds like fun.
Spa day.
Yeah. Right? I'll just buy the
ticket
and go 2 times.
Yeah.
So, what was it last week? Was it last week or was it on the weekend show? We talked about Exxon, the 35th year anniversary of Exxon, the oil spill.
Good Millions of gallons of crude oil into the Puget Sound.
Good stuff. Well, back on January 31st, the Kensington mine spilled more than 105,000 gallons of tailings slurry. The spill occurred at a joint pipeline and lasted a full 24 hours. According to the published report filed by Coeur Alaska, about half of the tailings reached a creek that drains into Berners Bay. According to Coeur Alaska, much of the flow was diverted. So here's some of the language from the executive summary report. Upon discovery of the leak, the mill shut down and was initiated immediately. A response team was quickly assembled to place straw wattles in drainages to further prevent tailings from entering Johnson Creek. Heavy equipment was deployed to the scene to remove tailings from Pipeline Road. Within 40 minutes of the spill, discovery water samples were taken to characterize any impact on Johnson Creek. So even though Coeur Alaska is saying that, everything's okay, there's nothing to see here. Requests for emergency essential fish habitat assessments have been issued to the U.S. Forest Service and the Environmental Protection Agency by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA issued the following statement in their most recent newsletter. The spill released over 105,000 gallons of tailings slurry, which is a mix of mine tailings and water, along a transport road and Johnson Creek, a salmon spawning and rearing stream. Johnson Creek drains into Berners Bay, an important subsidence area that is essential fish habitat to several ground fish and salmon species, as well as habitat to important prey species like herring, Kaplan, and Tanner crab. In our request, we are asking for information on the spill as well as remediation and future monitoring and mitigation measures that will be put into place by our partner agencies.
So, I mean, this is just, one government agency to another saying we need to step forward on this one and get some environmental impact reports going on here, because this could this actually is right along those lines when we were talking about the Exxon Valdez oil spill, and especially how it harmed the community of Cordova and their herring. So
and every time these companies say, "Oh, it's okay, we cleaned it up,"
it's no worries about it. It usually is a problem.
Never ever
usually a problem.
Take their word for it.
Well, and for some of you, you might not know why rocks and water could be damaging to a fish stream. Well, when they crush up all the rocks, there's all sorts of very bad, chemicals and minerals that can be released through some of these ores. And the unfortunate thing is that it's not a consistent toxicity. There can be pockets of it in specific areas. So it's like this, they can go out, do all the testing, say, oh, it's fine now. But if they just leave it and don't do anything, 5 years later, a certain pouch or pocket could release a whole bunch of bad stuff, and they might have already stopped monitoring by that point. So the what's inside of the ore, there can be all sorts of fluoride, asbestos, so many less than desirable compounds.
Right. Steve Ball is he's a general manager for Core Alaska, and he said in an interview with the Juneau Empire that the assessments done by his company prior to the release of the report shows the creek poses no environmental risks to species. He says no toxicity has been found. There's no evidence that tailings material reached spawning habitat. Of the estimated 105,000 gallons of slurry spilled, 17,000 were tailings, according to the report. The tailings are geochemically inert. They are composed of mainly diorite and quartz. They pose no long-term impacts to Johnson Creek, as demonstrated by the sediment sampling data and comparisons with historical data. Now, I'm sure you all remember that back in 2019, Core Alaska got tagged for $500,000 for discharge violations at Kensington Mine. So you could just take their word for it, or we can wait for the state to get their findings back.
Well, it's we have a real problem with filtering water around here. Even the city has been given fines for not being able to meet federal regulations on wastewater discharge and stuff. And it's like, come on, let's get on this, because it's one of those unseen environmental impacts as far as like everyone's focused on, vehicle emissions and things like that. It's just like, there's a lot going on with the water and stuff. And if we can't even filter it properly before, putting it back out there in the environment, is like that, it can be severely damaging.
Yeah. So let's see here. Bartlett received some grants. Congress has passed a $1.2 trillion spending bill. In that bill were $4 million allocated to the emergency department of Bartlett Regional Hospital. The hospital executive director of business development, Nathan Rumsey, made the announcement during a hospital board meeting yesterday. He says the primary objectives of the project are to improve patient access, to improve patient and safety and security, create more efficient and flexible space for ED operations to address emergency medicine best practices in some response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Rumsey said that the project will expand and renovate the south side of the emergency department and improve ventilation, the ventilation and electrical system. The hospital's been trying to get this money since 2020, when they originally requested $15 million, but said they were willing to settle for $10.5 million. The hospital now needs to find about $8 million more to cover their costs. The hospital is just making headlines left and right lately.
The fact that the hospital has to basically come up with, millions and millions of dollars more
They're not going to be
to
able
cover
do
their
that.
shortfall expenses on trying to make our emergency department section of the hospital even just feasible at this point.
They need
well,
more
I don't
money.
say feasible. I would say they are very feasible, but like that they need better improvements.
Right.
That's for sure. But why are we having to beg, plead,
Right.
scratch, claw, and do everything we possibly can to try to come up with millions upon millions of dollars for our hospitals?
Right. I think we need a new hospital, or maybe just make the one that we have now bigger, like taller,
And the bigger question to me is the facilities the big problem here, or is there a bigger problem of staffing?
Or it could be a systems issue too, because when you have 12 different billing departments out of one building, I'm sure that makes it real slow to collect money, and it has to go through multiple unnecessary channels.
Right.
I've had experiences with Bartlett where I get all my bills and everything, and then 2 years later get another bill, and I'm like, well, what's this for? And they're like, oh, that's some other person. I'm like, well, aren't they? No, they rent in Bartlett and they're their own thing. I'm like, well, maybe if everyone billed on the same page, it'd be easier to collect,
Yeah.
But no, communities shouldn't have to go through this with their hospital systems. It's just it's absolutely ridiculous in my personal opinion. I mean, there's just no point. And it's not sustainable. All right. Especially for smaller communities, especially for a hospital that services all of Southeast Alaska, the emergency option for most Southeast Alaskans, other than taking a unscheduled medevac flight saying south to Seattle or north to Anchorage.
Yeah.
So
do you think that these issues could more effectively be resolved if the hospital was privatized?
Oh man, that's a difficult question for me to answer.
It's a difficult question for anyone,
my tendency is to say no, simply because privatization usually leads to inflated costs.
Yeah.
And larger bills for the communities. So it's almost a situation of like, do we have to use a hybrid system? Maybe a little bit of private help coming in to help subsidize what the city cannot provide.
That's
always an option.
That's essentially what's happening already, because you have doctors that rent out space from the hospital and run their own practice. That's why I got multiple bills and over different years and stuff, because their department wasn't on top of billing, but they're their own separate entity within the hospital.
Yeah, I just like to see a little bit more uniform across when it comes to bringing on these private companies to say, hey, we do have this system in place that we're going to have to require that you use when it comes to a billing system and notifying patients. So everything remains uniform. So having multiple bills here, and here, no, we need to find a way to consolidate this. So get into the boardroom with us. Let's start, coming up with a plan where we could consolidate our efforts, and it's beneficial to everybody. I know that's a lot easier said than done, and that's speaking in generalities, but
what we could do it with? An app.
We could use an app.
We need an app.
Oh man, apps will just
You
fix
could
everything,
pay your
won't they?
parking and your medical bill all on one app.
All in one shot. All in one shot.
So I guess there's going to be a public presentation at the University of Alaska Southeast. Much ado about marmots.
Marmots
brought on by the Juneau Audubon Society, presenting this Much Ado About Marmots by Link Olson. So that's going to be on April the 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the U.S. Egan Lecture Hall Room, number 112. It's free and open to the public. So if you want to learn about marmots, this is the place to go.
And don't think it's like marmots. It's like there's actually I once met someone who was here for the summer, and he was commissioned by the federal government to do studies on marmots, and it was for cryogenic deep sleep for humans in space.
So
if you're thinking like marmots, it's like, no, there's some real interesting biology going on with marmots.
Isn't that what they have a lot of running around out there by the shrine? Aren't those marmots? Yeah. And those
like,
things are real. They'll come up to you.
During the winter, they can like halt their metabolism and do very strange like they can essentially stop their aging through the winter. It's not like a lower state, like they halt it on a biological level, and it's fascinating.
That's crazy.
The guy was going off about it, and like I never thought much of marmots until he started going on. I'm like, oh, marmots are like the coolest thing ever, man.
See, on the weekend show, we were talking about they're figuring out how we can safely accept like a pig kidney or something like that.
Yeah.
And and then human hybrids and stuff. They gotta get the marmots in
the
there.
marmot gene. Well, that's what they want. They want that marmot gene.
We gotta get that figured out.
With the
that sounds like all kinds of fun.
with the CRISPR gene editing technology there, so it makes it a little bit easier, And I think that's just the way we're going to have to go as humans. Eventually, we're going to have to go out into space.
Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out a way to extend our life, and so we can take future generations out among the stars. Because
CRISPR is awesome technology, and it is really awesome tech.
It's incredible. So speaking about presentations, a presentation about the massive spike in the number of inmate deaths in our prisons was canceled yesterday. The House Committee and Regional Affairs Committee voted to cancel the hearing with the ACLU of Alaska and the former Department of Corrections Commissioner Dean Williams. Just a reminder, last year, 18 people died in custody. This year so far, 13 have died, but the state is only counting 10.
Right. And when I first heard that article, I'm like, really? It's like, this is obviously going on. There's headline after headline over the last 5 years, and what, they're just not going to talk about it?
Yeah. Megan Edge is the director of the ACLU Alaska Prison Project, and she told the Alaska Beacon that she's extremely disappointed with Alaska lawmakers. She says, we have 5,000 Alaskans sitting in our jails, and the fact that they're not willing to hear this says a lot about how little that they actually care about people in prison. The people that are dying are predominantly pre-trial, very young, and Alaska Native. The objection to the hearing came from committee co-chair Representative Kevin McCabe of Big Lake. In the report by Alaskan Beacon, Representative McCabe cited a rule from Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure as the reason for his objection. The rule he cited states, any matter awaiting adjudication in court should not be debated or discussed in a legislative body. The adjudication in question is the wrongful death lawsuit filed last year by the family of James Ryder against the State Department of Corrections. He was
and it literally, like, I can understand why he cited that, because if they start going and taking a stance in something that went against how they actually acted, that led to that's in self-incrimination. It's like the legal intertwinedness and ramifications of doing that could be bad, and it is unfortunate though that it seemed like they're all there and ready to discuss it, and then it's just like, oh, we got to shoot it down.
James Ryder, was he local? Was that local kid that passed away in the prison?
Was that one of the ones I think that might have went down over there at Lemon Creek Correctional Center? Yeah,
and it's.
But there is also that HB 384. Mm-hmm. Which is for the grand jury getting the ability to initiate investigations into these types of things. It's like, so hopefully we see a little more oversight and accountability when it comes to these types of things.
Yeah.
And not just oversight and accountability from people who have been in their position for 35 years unelected and stuff, oversight and accountability for we the people of this state, It was like, then that's what the grand jury is supposed to be, is the people's investigation and oversight.
It's
look, they're even hiring freelance tax experts.
Like I almost I almost became a corrections officer at one point. It was a path I was seriously considering. I don't understand how what the culture is like inside these prisons, even for the guards. Like here in Alaska, I mean, like
you see a bunch of people that you know from your community, you know, and it's I can't imagine because it's like everyone here is so friendly and just has a good base nature about them on the average. And it's like seeing a bunch of people that are from your community that you might have grown up with, and you have to make sure that they don't have freedom, and that's it's a weird position.
But like at the same time, like you can't forget that these are people. I mean, like some of them have done some super shitty things, but like poopy. like poopy. But like it's like the article says, a lot of these people are they're
awaiting trial. That's the worst. I can't imagine like dying in prison while awaiting. You're not even guilty of anything, and you died in prison. That has to be just awful.
Or some people who wound up in the drunk tank, you know, and they have a heart attack and pass away, or something like that. And the guard's like, "I don't care if you die."
Right.
Yeah, like it's just
these are it's like we were kind of talking about with the teachers. It's like with all these things, it's like there should be like a citizens review of it, you know, an annual citizens review where anyone in the community, like a town hall, can go in and just observe everything, get access to public information from those places that's not incriminating.
I mean, for crying out loud, we have programs where you could go on job shadows, you know? Why wouldn't the public be invited to do something like that just to keep an eye on, you know, state government?
Absolutely.
I as a state employee myself, I would actually welcome that because I want the public and I want other members of our government to be able to see why it takes me so long to do certain things, why certain things seem to be, you know, just kind of redundant. You know, I want these things to be out there so more voices speak with knowledge about what's going on within our government. So things like that, that's really important. Yeah, always have a member of the public attach them to one of those corrections officers so they could see what's going on inside our prisons and how we're treating our prisoners. Wonderful idea. I absolutely love it.
I don't know if like the ropes project is still a thing in middle school. You know, I did when I was in 8th grade. My ropes project was what it was like to be a cop, and I tagged along with my uncle Ben Cornell, who was a sergeant at the time on JPD, and and it was cool. I mean, like, there were sometimes I had to wait in the car, you know. I remember one time we went into Marine View Apartments, and like there was like six cops. There were 6 cops who went up there, and I was following them, and I was taking notes about what was going on. There was somebody in this apartment or something. They were beating up their girlfriend, and they had to go get him out of there. And it was
what a ropes project,
right? It was so wild. But like,
I did competitive rifle shooting.
Nice. But that would be cool if like the ropes project was still around, and maybe what's it like to be, I don't know, a prison guard or something.
Well, and maybe could be a thing instead of the ropes being like choose whatever topic you want to do, and whoever coaches, put them right into a city or state function, and be like experience this in a little bit of your free time for the year, just to get an idea of what goes on in our community and all the different aspects.
I know, like in like when you're a senior in high school and they got you in like a U.S. government class, a lot of the times when we were in high school, it was one of your projects was you had to like go out to like the community government or something like that, like City Hall or something, and like shadow a lawn for an afternoon or something like that.
I remember one time we got to go to the Diamond Courthouse and actually do a mock trial and be able to sit at the bench and understand how jury selection was processed. Very informative.
There is youth court. I'm sure that they're still doing that program. It's a heavily sponsored program, and it is really awesome to get just a good introduction to the rules that society abides by, and do it at a young age too.
Right.
So, gentlemen, here in the good old state of Alaska, we have this little thing called the permanent fund dividend. It is our share of the oil revenue that the oil companies have to give to us when they come here to extract our resources, to put it lightly. The House Resources Committee on Monday continued discussing the possibility of a one-time payout for that permanent fund dividend payment buyout. Now, this has been discussed before, way back in the past, once upon a time, that we would just do away with the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend, that we would give Alaskans this one-time payout, right around $35,000, I think, is at one point was the consideration there. And now, House Bill 359 is a proposal from Representative Mike Kronk, representative of Tok and North Way, who would provide Alaskans with the option to receive a one-time $15,000 dividend payment and be done with your dividend.
What would you do?
No, not for $15,000. When they were considering something around $35,000, $40,000, I might consider that. Maybe. I might consider that, but I also really like I really like what Governor Hammond set up for us. I like the idea of it, that if you want to come here and you want to extract our resources, that you have to pay us because our land and our resources are top-notch, high quality, and we should be getting that.
And, well, what is it? Is like the better move would to be, through the Constitutional Convention, lay actual claim to all the land of Alaska, and instead of getting a fraction of a percent from the oil companies as our royalty, we would get the 99.99%, and they could get a fraction. So, there are other options that could make Alaska, the wealthiest nation, or the wealthiest state in the nation. But
this would be my counter proposal. If you want to buy out the PFD, and because I know the big oil companies can afford it, I will take nothing less than absolute life-changing money for every Alaskan.
Yeah, it should be at least $1 million per person, but still, even that's not good enough.
Yeah. I'm not even talking. That's not even my floor. I'm talking about every Alaskan that is alive today and will be born in the future, as long as the oil companies are here to extract our resources, because I know they can afford it. There's nothing you can tell me that, they can't afford to do that. Yes, they can.
What kind of deal is, okay, I have something that you want. I'm going to come and extract that thing, and the split will be 90-10.
Right.
When has that ever been a logical agreement or deal?
Greg down in the comment section there, because he's on Kuskokwim, the Kuskokwim right now, that's his representative, is Kronk. So,
Yep.
Disappearing the Devil by Governor Hammond. It makes a good case for the permanent fund, aka permanent.
Right.
Or aka permanent. So reading a little bit more about this, I guess the committee adopted a new version of the bill on Monday, which included changes to the language to identify it as a buyout program and clarify that the payments will be distributed over a 3-year span. So you don't get a lump payment. You just get payments every year until they get up to the top there.
I like the land voucher idea better.
Representative Kronk's staff member Dave Stancliffe thinks that the better choice is for older Alaskans or those trying to make a large purchase than continuing to receive an annual permanent fund dividend payment. I'm 74 years old, and maybe I don't want to be a part of be on another 10 years. Maybe I want my lump sum or a larger sum and get out of the program.
And Alaska has been known for, doing untraditional optionality of things. I think back in the 70s, they made Social Security optional to pay into here in Alaska. And a lot of people chose not to pay into it.
Right.
Now, there's a few concerns that the bill may include how to prevent recipients from taking the money and leaving the state. Representative Donna Mears of Anchorage did not think that the adopted changes would result in an improved bill. She says, I'm not sure I'm moving from this single payment to 3 years with an additional PFD payouts along the way that makes such a difference in the calculus that folks would be taking the money and running. It would be a different calculus for folks that are looking for this payout to purchase a house, a vehicle, or do some of those other investments. The deadline for the amendments for the bill remains April the 2nd. The House Resources Committee meets again on today they did, which at this time is likely to hear more about House Bill 359. So one big lump sum payout, and you get a payout.
Well, they've done some.
And that's over.
They've done some sort of incentives with other things. Back when they were doing pensions and everything, the incentive to make sure that people didn't just collect the pension and leave the state is that they'd give them an extra 10% every year if they stay in the state as a variance. So it's just like everyone collecting the pension that got it a long time ago is like they're getting another 10% every year.
But I agree, it has to be life-changing money, otherwise it's really just not worth it to me.
Right.
Yeah, you'd have to be up there at least at 35 as a starting point, and then we can negotiate from there.
Yeah. Right. But
we can only negotiate up.
But still, that negotiation of like each person getting 35 grand and all that is like, that's just a fraction of a percent of the actual money being made off the resources.
That's why I opt for life-changing money, because I know that these oil companies can afford it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And how many Alaskans are born every year? I don't imagine it's very high.
No.
I'm sure,
I'm sure there's plenty, but the ones that stay.
And in that sense, since they're minors, I would suggest, maybe setting up a system where that payment for them is locked away until they're 18
or something.
Yeah. And then when they turn 18, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, I'll tell you what I did with my money over the course of the years is I ended up buying 2 vehicles and then going to college with it. And then eventually, leaving after 2 years there with an associate's degree. But, still, most of that money went towards buying the gigantic van and the little Toyota Tercel that I promptly wrecked on engineer's cutoff. So yeah, the story goes, for those of you who may not know, there's this little hill that goes down, and it's out there in the valley, and it's called Engineer's Cutoff, but it's almost hidden as you go over the top and then come down. And I would always pack the high school girls in the car and go tell them that we're going to drive off this cliff, and this is the last time that we're going to just scare the hell out of them, right? And of course, I would do it jokingly, not like I'm going to get you.
Right.
It's all like, no, it's a cliff. You'll love it. It goes down and it's fun. Anyways, so you take this hill about 2 or 3, 4 times, and no problem. But I always did it during the summer, and I always did it on dry days until the rain came one day, and I decided I was a little bit more edgy. Advanced. There you go.
Thought you were an advanced driver.
Living on the edge there.
Tokyo Drift.
So yeah, of course I took that hill going at around 50 miles an hour and, trying to make that turn right when you hit that corner and into the stop sign. Yeah, right into the guardrail there. Yeah. So thankfully that guardrail was there. Otherwise I'd be in somebody's house.
Right. Speaking of the PFD,
that would have been a lawyer's house too.
No doubt. No doubt.
Speaking of the PFD, if you haven't filed for your PFD,
you better do it now.
You've got 4 days left.
Hurry.
Yeah. So we are down to the wire on that one.
You don't want to miss out on that portion of a fraction of a percent of money.
Right.
All right. Well, that's all I had for you gentlemen tonight, unless you have anything else that we need to discuss.
Let's see. Gold medal happened.
Yeah, gold medal wrapped up. Everyone had a wonderful time. I think Ann Goon took the B bracket tournament.
I think so, yeah. I think Connor took the Masters bracket.
Yeah, and I heard those final games, and it just sounded awesome. People were going wild, and they were really close scores. And lots of people out on the town having a great time afterwards. So
celebration is coming up in June.
Right, a couple more weeks and the cruise ships will start rolling in. Everyone needs to get ready and make your preparations now.
And of course, we got the traditional games that are coming up here fairly soon here in April. So if you want to see some of those Native Youth Olympics and Arctic sports,
April 25th to the 27th,
you got to check that out, man. That's going to be some good stuff here. So
yeah.
All right, I think that's it for us. We're going to get out of here. Remember, joining us next week, 8 p.m. on Wednesday, and we'll do another edition of the Community Corner. Don't forget that you could call in live during that show, 907-723-2024. Keep it in your phone there so you can speed dial us.
You know, you set the tone of the discussion. You know, and you steer us wherever you want us to go.
Yep, and this is the new home for Community Corner right here on YouTube. So spread the word.
Bring it to the masses. Your grandpa and